The United Nations and the BBC have finished a joint study together of 186 countries around the world. And they have discovered that there's only one nation in the world that can actually grow enough to feed its own people domestically and don't need help from others. Can you guess which country that is? It's not Canada. It's not the United States. It's not Brazil. It's not China, although China's pretty close to that. It's actually Guyana. Guyana, which is in South America, only has 1 million people, and it's mostly full of rainforest. There's not a lot of demand there. It's a beautiful country, but they can provide for themselves. The rest of us, including Canada, have had to develop a system whereas because our own citizens want all these different varieties and the demand is there, we have to enter into a global trading system and a growth system that will allow us to send our food out and bring other food in. Now that is important. In Canada, for instance, we export $144 billion worth of food a year to over 200 other countries. So we're pretty busy doing that kind of stuff. It's also true that 70% of the food in Canada that Canadians consume is actually grown in this country. That's pretty special. I don't think a lot of people knew that. But that means that there's 30% that we have to import from elsewhere. So you might be surprised to learn that we spend $1 billion each year importing lettuce from places like California and Arizona. That's great. It's helpful. But, at the back of the food bank, we have our greenhouse. It's a large-sized greenhouse. It's run by Luis, our agronomist. He grows lettuce in there all the time, even in the winter. And we have a great team of volunteers called Team Tomato. Now, yes, they grow a lot of tomatoes, but they're at the back of the food bank, just beside the greenhouse, but not in it. And they grow lots of lettuce each year. So the capacity would be there for us to grow our own. But there are certain products that we can't grow here right now that we have to import from elsewhere, mostly from the United States. So we're talking about subtropical fruit and vegetables. And that same way with tropical fruit and vegetables. But there's other things like lettuce or processed foods, for instance, things like dairy products. We import a huge variety of dairy products in here, especially again from the States. So if Canada is looking at the difficulty that it's in and says, you know what, it's time to build. It's time for us to look at what we can do to carve out our own independence in this world. Then food needs to be one of the things that they're looking at. Right now, the Prime Minister is meeting with the premiers of the province in Saskatoon, and they're talking about the need to build roads, the need to build pipelines, the need to build waterways, railroads, other things, and houses. These are the things that they're going to have to start doing. But we also need food if we want to carve out our own independence. There's two terms that people throw out a lot: food security and food sovereignty. Both of them are kind of the same thing. They give us the chance, an independent chance, to be able to work out our own future about what we grow, process, sell, and consume as Canadians. And if we want to have that kind of situation where we have more independence, we need to start looking at growing our own. Why don't we? Why don't we do it more? Well, you've considered the land that we're living in. I mean, it's tough. It could be tough 7 or 8 months of year in more of the northern regions. The weather can be pretty inhospitable at times. Sometimes there's not a lot of sun in the wintertime. And yet what we're discovering is that technology can be the answer to that. Now, other countries know this. Other countries, even in hot tropical climates, have their own container systems and greenhouse systems. They grow food on rooftops of buildings. They have greenhouses and they grow. We even have 7 buildings in Montreal here in Canada that do that very thing. Even on top of the brand new Walmart in Montreal, the whole top of it is a greenhouse that's designed by Loofah Farms. So the potential is there for us to do all of that stuff, but it is going to require technology. If you're going to grow, you're going to have to build. It's not just you have to plant, because the soil and the climate is maybe not good enough for us to be able to do that. But with the right technologies, we could grow 12 months a year, 24/7. The London District Construction Association here in London has made a vow to this community that as part of their paying the community back for them being here, being able to work here, they have decided that they want to tackle food security. And so what they have done is that they're building this complex called a farm in a box. So it's these 5 different containers. You've seen these containers. These are like shipping containers that go around the world. These are being modified and being put here in London, where the offices of the London District Construction Association, because they have the land. And what they're doing is they're granting these things to the food bank. But what they are going to do is fill it with the new HVAC systems. They got a whole solar array system there that's going to empower it. These folks are really committed to doing this for the community. And we have lots of groups that do lots of things for the community. London is wonderful that way. But we need somebody to start thinking about, how do we begin to then grow? What kind of technology do we require that can help us to carve out our independence from some of the things that are going on south of the border? And the London District Association is showing us how to do that. Do you know that 1 out of every 9 jobs in this country is in the agricultural sector? That's fantastic. That's 2.3 million people that are working in these jobs. So the potential is there, but we just need people who will not just look at planting and growing and food and land assessment. We need people that will be able to build these kind of containers and greenhouses that can make a difference. I have met with both the Greenhouse Vegetable Growers Association Ontario and the Vegetable Growers Association of Ontario, who don't use the greenhouses. They all admit that these coming tariffs could be a gut punch for what it is that they are going through. They hope that they don't lose business or whatever it is. But they've already designed technologies that's growing so much food in this country, and it's the kind of food that we're bringing up south of the border, in which most of it could be grown here. So I guess all that I'm saying is there's only one country in this world, and it's in South America, that can provide for itself. The rest of us are going to have to find ways where we provide more for ourselves. It won't be exclusively so. We'll always have to import somewhat. But because so much of our exports and imports are coming or going to our neighbor to the south, and because the neighbor to the south is playing with all of this stuff and causing anxiety around the world, if we're honestly talking about building, now is the time. So think about the London District Construction Association, what they're doing for this community. It's amazing. But what they've also vowed to do is that they're going to take all of these plans of what they're building, and they're going to donate them to every construction association across the country. And they're also going to give the plans to all of the food banks across the country. That's the kind of place London is. That's what kind of group the London District Construction Association is. And we're just thankful that the food bank is at the leading edge of that and working away with them. They're doing the work, but we'll do our best to try to move the food around once it's grown. It's an amazing thing what we can do if we choose to. But we're now at the point when it comes to growing that technology has to become a major partner. And I think we're on the verge.